My friend and I really loved traveling to various abandoned villages and towns. Some of them were empty after the war. Of some, people moved to larger settlements due to the lack of housing amenities such as gas or electricity. And some villages were deserted somehow suddenly, as if people suddenly abandoned their business and ran away somewhere in a panic or simply disappeared. The spirit is breathtaking in such places, and the heart begins to beat wildly, releasing huge portions of adrenaline into the blood. In general, one Friday evening my friend calls me and shouts into the phone in an enthusiastic voice, "Dude, I found this here. You won't believe it. Now I'll send you a link to the article in ICQ. Read it and answer." The ICQ window blinked. I immediately opened the link to the article and started reading. The article talked about a certain country amusement park and other entertainment. Many years ago, a large number of people disappeared in this park, including the staff who worked there. The police investigated the incident but found nothing. A local entrepreneur wanted to purchase the park, but all the equipment strangely broke down for no apparent reason. So the park stands untouched for many years, covered with thick rust. The place intrigued me very much, and I immediately answered my friend on ICQ with just one phrase, "We're going tomorrow." The next day, armed with flashlights and dressed for the weather, as luck would have it, it was a rainy day. We set off along the route indicated on the website. After a couple of hours of wandering along road forks and turns, we finally found this very place. Apparently no one had come here for a long time, and the road began to be overgrown with bushes. Then we had to move on foot. After crawling through the mud for about 40 minutes more, we saw a park visible through the trees. Because of the rainy weather, it started to get dark early. We decided to quickly climb around the park and go home, especially since my friend started sniffling and sneezing periodically. He probably caught a cold. "Welcome. I wish you a pleasant stay and fun entertainment in our park." A creepy voice sounded drawn out behind me. I got scared and jumped away. "Yes, he's just a clown." My friend laughed at me. "It's interesting. So many years have passed and he's still working." We came closer to look at the clown, a skillfully made toy in the form of a full-length clown, sat in a wooden booth and waving its arms in a funny way, welcoming and inviting visitors to the park. Now this clown looked quite ridiculous. His clothes were rotting, and the paint on his face was peeling and cracked. One eye had fallen out and was dangling on the wires. Everything here was somehow creepy. It gave me goosebumps. Scraps of a dirty, striped white and blue dome fluttered in the wind above the carousel. The carousel itself was all rusted, and the horses, apparently once galloping merrily along it, had become detached from their fastenings and were scattered throughout the park. I felt somehow uneasy, and, having told my friend that I had a headache, and that there was nothing interesting here at all, I turned towards the path. "Wait," said my friend and pulled me by the sleeve. "I saw something over there." He pointed his finger towards the shops that usually sell balls and cotton candy. "No, probably seemed it's all the wind." We barely managed to get out of the gate and reach the trees when suddenly a loud metallic grinding sound was heard behind us. We looked at each other in fear and ran into the nearest bushes. Then we just sat, afraid to move, and watched in horror what was happening in the park. Multicolored lanterns and garlands began to light up along the entire perimeter, and ancient music began to play, which seemed ominous to us. The clown in the booth waved his arms, and his appearance began to take on completely different shapes. The fallen eye fell into place, the cracks on his face began to heal, and pieces of peeling paint grew back. All the holes on the clown's clothes disappeared and it looked like new. "Welcome, welcome," the clown shouted loudly, rolling his eyes funny. The dome of the carousel began to come together into a single whole. The horses again acquired bright colors and fell into place in the carousel. It was as if time was running backwards, like in a movie when the film slowly rewinds. The Ferris wheel was cleared of rust and shone with hundreds of holiday lights. The collapsed bridges of the roller coaster fell into place. The cars collected their links and returned to the beginning of the attraction. The retail shops shone with lights and were overgrown with balloons, glass display cases with cotton candy and popcorn. From somewhere out of nowhere, people, or rather translucent ghosts, began to enter the open gates of the park. The park was filled with ghostly people and children who were riding rides, having fun, laughing. One boy won a large plush elephant at a shooting range and gave it to a little girl standing next to him. The girl hugged the elephant and jumped for joy. Funny ghostly clowns on high stilts walked around the park, collected funny poodles from balloons, and juggled balls while riding on one bicycle wheel. We sat just a few meters from the lattice fence of the park in the bushes on a small hill and, frozen in amazement, did not dare to move. A strange growing rumble was heard from somewhere in the forest on the other side of the park. and on the horizon in the darkness, bluish flashes of light shone quickly approaching the park. Some strange dense mass, flashing with lights and lightning bolts, hung over the park, releasing black whirlwinds that swept away everything in its path. People caught in these tentacles of monstrous whirlwinds were instantly sucked into a thick mass above the park and disappeared as if they had never existed. My friend grabbed my shoulder and began to pull me towards the path, afraid that the black mass would capture us too. I somehow controlled myself, and we ran to the car. I heard branches crunching behind us as if someone was chasing us. My heart was beating wildly. A terrible hum was heard closer and closer to us. Turning the key with difficulty, I started the car and hit the gas. My hands barely obeyed me. When we got home, I finally felt safe. Since then, we gave up our hobby, and nothing strange happened to us anymore, except that I still often dream at night of a crying little girl hugging a stuffed elephant, standing alone in the dark.